it is a balmy 4 degrees, no frost whatsoever, dry, clear skies, and it's all looking good. What's also quite surprising is just how much diesel came out of this thing. That's got to be 20-25 litres maybe. So yeah, I'm gonna have to drag that out and find something to pour it into. Then I'll crack on with the day. Right, I've been working on the scuttle area. Last video I showed you, I think, well, not last one, last time I was working in this area, I was showing you that bit which had some pinholes through it. So I was thinking I could maybe snot the holes up, but when I really looked, that whole bit had gone a bit frilly, so I chopped it out. Originally I was just going to do a patch that big, but then as I got involved I chased it all the way to the inner wing here because it was so crappy, which is annoying. And then whilst I was de-rusting all of that area, I found a pinhole over there and a pinhole here, which then turned into a hole. Now if this was a real prestige car or proper resto, you'd then unpick the whole car, chop it all out, weld it back together. But I've got to be realistic here. That I'm just gonna blob some weld over the top of. That I'll make a small but fairly ugly patch to go over. This bit I'll make a flange on the bottom and then a sheet. Then I'll probably weld it to the inside so it looks flat flush from the outside, and you'll never see the inside anyway. The one problem bit is going to be welding right in that corner up to that seam, because I'm not sure what the axis is going to be like, so it might get ugly. But anyway, I thought I'd show you the guts of it, because loads of these videos looks like on YouTube, they always look super minty and nice, sort of clean working environments where everyone's got nice tools, whereas this is more of a real weld, what should have been just a rolling restoration. It's turning into a bit more than that, but you know, I've got a deadline and I've got to be practical about it, so I'm not bodging anything, or not trying to, but yeah, it's not going to be as amazing as some other videos you might see, but hopefully it helps someone who's doing a similar project themselves. Got my first Diddy patch made. It's just 0.9 Syntec. So that will go over there. I'm going to get the hose out so that I don't set fire to the bulkhead. Right underneath is all the insulating foam. So yeah, I've got to be careful with that. That went pretty well. Patch in. I'm not going to bother grinding it down because I don't really need to, because it's not in an area you're ever going to see. And I also managed to get the welder in and plugged up some of those holes over there. So now I'm going to wire brush it and put some rust killer in that area, and then while that's curing or drying, I'll make a pattern or a template and then make the piece that I need to go into the bulkhead there. Patch made. I'm going to put it on the inside, so that flange will get spot welded following the original line of the bulkhead. That one will get spotted to the inner sill, and then I'll just seam along the top and the edge. So from the front side, with a bit of seam sealer, it should look really neat. The rust killer is going off. I'm just going to dust some zinc weld through primer over my patch and that area that's going to be welded as well, and then I'll come back out and gob it in. Right, an action video. I've managed to wedge the iPhone against the bulkhead. The patch is in. I've done the plug welds along the bottom. They're not the neatest, but now I'm just going along the top and stitching in the patch to the remains of the bulkhead. So I can't do a seam because it'll just burn through, so I'm just doing lots of little spots, and hopefully this will come out on video. No idea, if it might just screw up the lens or something, I don't know, but I'll give it a go. And then what I do is, when one bit's solid, just tap the next bit so the seams or the two faces are really close to each other. So you're not gonna, you know, the heat will transmit from one into the other, and you're not gonna blow a hole. I say you're not going to blow a hole, but sometimes it will happen, especially when you're welding shitty old metal. So I'll leave that bit to cool off for a bit. And just put some tacks in further along. Then I'll work my way back to that bit where I blew a hole. I think I'll tack this side and then do one at the top to stop the hole sort of chasing away from me. So that, I'll leave that to cool off and then I'll come back and fill it in. So I've just built up a wall of thick metal around where that hole was, because had I just shoved the gun in there in the middle and pulled the trigger, it would have probably melted. So now with that extra wall of metal, effectively I can fill in the hole without blowing a bigger hole. And then if I really cared, I could grind it smooth and you wouldn't see it. So it ain't super pretty, but when it's nipped off with a grinder, it'll be good enough. And then the front side looks a bit like that. So again, just brushable seam sealer, bit of masking tape. It should look good. I've now got to do the difficult bit, which is working my way into that far corner. So yeah, a bit of prep and a bit of hammering should be good. Okay, finished the welding, just nipped it off a bit. It's pretty neat, and the good thing is I was able to get right into that corner by sort of trying to weld it left-handed. Front's just pretty good, just need to dress it and paint it. Just cleaning up that flange, ready to put the gold bit on. Just showing you the technique I use, which works for me. Rather than grinding it all the way through, I get a thin chopping disc and chop down into it, and then sometimes go across as well. And then I just use a 60 grit disc on that, and it sands its way through, so you can see the spot welds easily. When you do get a spot weld, the metal next to it sort of curves up and away. So it's quite a quick method, and it saves going through loads of grinding discs. Okay, that's mostly ground off. I'll need to let in a small piece over there, which isn't a big deal. I'm prepping the gold panel. That was the rusty bit. I'm replacing it with a bit from there, and I'm going to use the spacing I've got here as the reference for that. So I just need to chop that bit out now and then offer it up into here. Okay, that's my bit cut out, wedged underneath and all lined up. So I'm going to go around it with a marker pen, chop it out, weld it in. Okay, it's getting windy now, so it's not a good time to be trying to do nice welding outdoors, but yeah, that's it tacked in and underneath. So I'm going to very, very, very gently try and get that in without either blowing a hole or warping it, because that's got to be an invisible repair. Okay, it's in there, welded, pretty neat, got good penetration through most of it. See on the left and right of the picture now, then at the top and the bottom there are additional bits I put in just so that when I sand the front flat I know I've got good strength on the back. Look at this, serious progress being made now. I've put a brand new bonnet latch in, bolted to the firewall which aligns with that hole, or does if you wiggle it. I've put the washer, wiper, motor and linkage back in because that's key for all of this to align up. This side I've dressed to fit, so that's good. Flange all looks good, and now I'm just going to put this cutter straight through there, and that will leave me this bit with that bit chopped off and that bit with the bit under there chopped off, and a nice gap that I can weld to. Another thing I'm doing, kind of a little trick, is I've used offcuts from here and from over there, that one, to create a little shelf for my new panel to sit on. So that's for two reasons. One is it will balance there until I tack it in. The other reason is this again has to be an invisible repair, but I want it to be strong, and I don't, you know, I'm not going to be able to get to the backside to dress it and make it look nice. So if I have that underneath, I can put this on top, leave a bit of a gap between the two, and then weld with quite a lot of heat down onto this, and it will stop spikes going through and looking like a nasty hedgehog from the underside, but also mean that I can get a lot of heat in there, good penetration without blowing holes, and then I can dress that flat and it will look nice but also be strong. So when they're tacked in, I'll give you another view of those. Okay, so this is what I mean. You've got some really tiny tacks under there, almost like they're not there, and that's important because this has to then sit on top and leave a flush surface, which it does, with about a mil gap between the two panels, perfect for me laying in a new weld. Same at the other end, I've got my little, I don't know, shelf I guess you call it, and then that sits on top. This will need some final dressing, and then yeah, should be good to go. I was hoping to weld that in today, but it ain't going to happen because it's getting dark again and it's cold. So I'm going to take that off, clean up the inside, and you know, I might epoxy it, I might just etch prime it, I haven't decided yet. But I'll put some epoxy on the back side of that gold panel as well, keep it solid. When will it end? Forgot about that bit. So just cut a strip of Zintex steel and I'm going to tack that in, dress it down, then hopefully clean out there, epoxy it. I have an assistant, he's called Henry. He's shit at welding, but he's quite good at sucking stuff up. So what I've been doing is using my old hacksaw blade to scrape all the debris from welding and grinding and stuff down into my new and functional non-rusty drain thing, whilst the Hoover sucks it all out. I've done that, so now I'm going to key the inside and mix up some Jotun 87 to paint all of that. Oh yeah, look at that. Rust free, sealed, nice. I've absolutely stuffed it full of that epoxy. I even dribbled a bit down there so that it's come out the front through my drain plug thing, so that shouldn't ever rust again. So that's going off now. I've got a bit of paint left, so I'm going to do the underside of that gold panel as well, so next time I'm back here it's ready just to weld in. Guess what, it's dark again. End of a long day, a good day, lots got done, and although I haven't got the diesel tank out, I have at least decanted all of that drained out fuel into other bottles, which my mate Jason brought down. And Simon from the Rover SD1 club has also donated me a nice shiny new front bumper, or not shiny new but second hand, but much better than the smashed up one I had. So now I've just got to clean everything up, put it all away and cover the car back up again, ready for next time.